think I've just signed a contract for 2 more Girl Hunter books, and I'm sure there will be a 3rd as well, because we don't sign contracts long term because each contract is for a year, so that's 2 years. So usually it's 2 to 3 years, and then we re-sign. And after that, I'm not sure if there's going to be a 4th. So it might be 3, might be 4. I'm going to just see how it goes. But yeah. Yes.
This might have been answered on your blog somewhere, but do you have planned for each of the 7 to get a story, if it's a novella or a novel?
So the question was for those in the back, do I plan for each of the 7 to get a novel or a novella? Like I said, it wasn't actually meant to be a series when I started. So when I wrote these characters, I didn't write them thinking they're going to be a future hero, right? It's just developed that they are such compelling characters that I had to write about them. And I've come to the decision that what I will do is I want each of the 7 to be in a good place before we leave the series. I'm not sure that means necessarily that they will all be in relationships, but we will see. I'm going to see how things develop, and in a natural way, because these are immortals again. So is it realistic that they will all find the other halves? It's possible that this is a series that will need a time jump to sort of give good closure to all the characters. I would like to actually write either books or novellas about all of them, but I'm very conscious of not pushing it so it's false, if that makes sense. Like, I'm really, really happy with the books that have been written to date about the 7. I love those books, and I want to feel the same way about anything I write about the 7. Yeah. Okay. Next. Yes.
Last question.
Go for it. You're like being there, like voice. Go on.
Has Judge shared with you the infamous manual? And if he does, would you plan to share any of it with us?
That is our secret. I'm sorry. If they showed it to you, they would have to kill you.
It would be worth it, though.
Yeah, it would be worth it, to be honest. I might have peeked at it a little bit. I love that manual.
A comment. I don't like shifters, and I don't like vampires, and I resisted reading the first book in the Side Chain series. You did such a wonderful job of developing the world and creating compelling characters that I couldn't stop.
Oh,
so
excellent.
I want to thank you.
Excellent. I hope you keep feeling that way.
Oh, I still do.
Yes.
So are the earlier books going to come out in hardback? Because I need my books to match. So I'll have all the later ones in hardback, but
my poor slave, CD, right?
Yeah. My poor slave sensation is like falling apart, and I just need to know whether I need to buy another paperback to keep reading it, or do I wait a little while?
At this point, they haven't said anything about reissuing the early ones in hardcover, but they did reissue Slave to Sensation with a new paperback cover. So, yeah, you might have to buy it.
All right.
There may be a few copies of Caressed by Ice in hardcover floating around, because Caressed by Ice was chosen as a book club pick for one of the big book clubs, and they did a very limited print run of the hardcover. So you can probably find it online, like secondhand, because you're not going to find it in the store at this point. Yeah. Right. I thought I saw a hand. Nope. Questions? Are you guys done? Oh, at the back.
I'm just, your comment about the territorial wars, are we going to go back and get more history about that? Because every time I read it, I'm thinking, oh, that sounds so interesting. I wonder what happened and why and how it was stopped.
Okay, so a couple of years ago, I wrote this novella, but it was set in the time of the territorial wars. And I rang up my friends who write historicals, and I got all the details about what people would wear in that time period. You know, even though this is a created world, it's it's based on our real world. So I try and get those kind of things correct. So, I did all this research, and I wrote this novella, and it's finished. And then my editor, who I promised this novella to, so where's this novella? I said, you can't have it. There's something wrong with it. And she said, well, just give it to me and I'll read it and I'll tell you. And I said, no, So nobody but me has read this novella, and it is set in the time of the Territories, and there is something wrong with it. And at some point, I am going to figure out what is wrong with it. And no, there is something wrong with, and I can tell. You know, the thing is, I could put it out, and I think most of you would probably like it, but I don't think you'd love it. It's missing something, and but I keep working on it every time because it drives me crazy that I have not figured it out yet. So at some point, you will get this mysterious historical novella that I wrote for the Side Changing series. It may be in 10 years' time when I figure things out. But when you do, you will. And I'm just trying to think. I think something else I've written recently has a little bit more about it, but I can't remember because I've been writing quite a few sort of novellas in the background. And that sometimes the pieces of information come through. But that one for sure, I think I've almost figured out what's wrong with it. So at some point I will finish the autopsy and put it back together. Alright, next. Yes.
Are you going to have any movies done?
I would love to have movies done, but it's you have to get someone interested